I have some questions for the leftists in America, the people that consider themselves to be left of the traditional liberal and progressive worldview. I tend to view myself as a progressive. I consider myself to be in the coterie of the left. I'm not perfect. I have come a long way and I still have a long way to go. But I'm also someone that lives out in the real world. And I've seen too much of purity politics in America in the last few years. So I have some questions for the people on the left, the folks that were disgusted with the behaviors and the actions of uh, Kamala Harris, who turned a blind eye to what her administration could have done because it wasn't meeting the criteria they personally think it should have been meeting. She wasn't achieving all of the marks for the purity that they think she needed to have. And I'm not saying she was perfect. She was far too cozy with Nazi lights, far too cozy with capitalism, far too cozy with law enforcement. But I don't think there's anyone in their right mind that's going to say that she was as far right as the current GOP is, or their current leader. So here's the questions. Do you think a Harris administration would be doing worse today than our current administration? Do you think a Harris administration would have been handling immigration poorly? Do you think Harris would have handled international politics more poorly than the current administration? Do you think she would have handled the relationship between the government and billionaires more poorly? Or taxation? Or health care? Or choosing members for her cabinet? Do you think she would have done a worse job for the country than the current administration is? And if even for a second you think that she would have done a better job, my question is, why didn't you put her into office? You had the power. You outnumbered the boomers. You could have taken control. You could have voted Democrats in from top to bottom. Now I know Democrats are a center-right party, but what they aren't are Nazis. They are imperfect allies. And for some reason, the left seems to have forgotten that imperfect allies are superior to Nazis. And that baffles me because we are now in a position where there may be no way to save our nation without violence. And we're here because those on the left didn't show up at the voting booth. And I know I'm going to get hate for this comment. I know there are going to be people out there that are angry with me because I am articulating that while I'm disgusted with the Red Caps and that the world would be a better place if they had been stripped of their citizenship, I am also disgusted with those on the left that didn't take the absolutely infinitesimal effort that it took to fill out a ballot. Even if you hate the system, even if you thought that she was a horrible human being, do you think she's worse than the current administration? And if you think she isn't worse, then why didn't you put her into power Why did you stand back and let the current administration begin the dismantling of the entire United States government? Why did you allow that to happen? Because while the redcaps are all Nazis, and I think they should be duly vilified, those on the left had the power to stop this, and they didn't do it. Purity politics has very likely cost us America. I'm disgusted by this, and I know I'm going to get hate for these comments. I know that there are going to be those that say I am a clueless liberal, that I don't know what I'm talking about. But I knew where we were going to be headed when Harris lost. I knew what was going to happen, and I know how bad it is going to get. And I know it didn't have to occur. So tell me, folks on the left, are you happy where we are?